Hi everyone, this is Jason Zach from Nathaniel School of Music. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you multiple ways to tackle the challenge of hand independence, most commonly asked question on our YouTube channel, and we have done a lot of tutorials on it as well. I'll leave you the playlist in the description. After this one, kindly watch some of those specific lessons. This one is just more of a mindset or a overall bird's eye perspective on how to achieve it, because the main challenge with especially adult learners is frustration kicks in to the point that you have to then take a call. You'll have to either oversimplify the left hand to just play maybe like a standard 1-5-8 or a arpeggio pattern, or you might just hold block chords, which tend to sound very muddy at times in the left hand. So this is hand independence primarily from a solo piano arrangement perspective. So you're doing a melody line in the right hand and you have this standard pattern in the left hand. And you don't want to lose this pattern, or it could even be a rhythmic pattern. So that pattern should not leave, should hold its ground. So this tutorial is about either the stepping stones towards achieving it, or having like a ladder approach towards solving the problem, or just looking at which approach might end up working for you, or maybe some of them, or hopefully all of them, and work for you. Okay. So the tutorial will revolve around keeping a consistent left hand pattern, not compromising the left hand, while figuring out how to approach the right hand given the constraint, or given the fact that the left hand is fixed. So we are not going to oversimplify the left hand. In fact, we might have to simplify the right hand, but the left hand will not be simplified. Okay. So there are a lot of approaches. So I'd recommend you get your keyboards out. Also, watch till the very end, because everything will be rather different and it kind of leads to the other. And that's about it. Before we start, it'll be nice if you can consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on that bell icon for regular notifications, because lessons just keep coming your way with multiple channels. And if you like our content, the only way to get it regularly when we drop a new video is to hit the subscribe and hit the bell for regular notifications. Also, if possible, kindly support us on Patreon for as low as $5 a month, where you get to interact with me, send over your recordings, your own assignments and workouts, and I can review it and also do lessons live or virtually, with workshops and private lessons too, as you go through the Patreon page. Okay, so let's get cracking. First off, a reality check. So if the left hand is playing something like this pattern, and if you really like it, but you can't figure out what to do in the right hand yet, or let's say you're doing this and you have a melody, same pattern but new chord, and so on. Now, let's say you can't actually execute your target melody. What you should do is start with simple rhythm. So the simplest rhythm available on the planet is in a 4x4 context would be the semi-breve, the whole note, or the egg as it's drawn. So what you want to do is, if this is 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, depending on how you're counting it, 2, 3, 4, semi-quaver, 2, 3, 4. That's literally it. 2, 3. Or if this were quavers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and whatever your scale is. If it's D mixolydian, which is a major scale with a flattened 7, just hold whole notes or semi-breves. Ta, 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 with this flow. After semi-breves, you could move to minims. Bum, 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 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe combine minims with semi-breves or half notes with whole notes. And then moving on, you have minim which is hitting at the 1 as well as the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we could do is now displace that. Do a kind of a uneven split, if you will. So you do 3 plus 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. What is that? That's a dotted minim followed by a crotchet. So and so on. Or you do a crotchet or a quarter note followed by a dotted minim. Back to minim. Semi-breeze. It can sound very groovy, come to think of it, especially when you just confine yourself to this environment, not thinking of your target. It's always about enjoying the process. The result will come and you might enjoy I'm sure you'll enjoy that also, but the process can also be a lot of fun. Now, moving forward, you can do combos. You can do 2 plus 1 plus 1, minim, crotchet, crotchet. You can do crotchet, crotchet, minim, displacing that. Or you can do 4 crotchets, which would actually kind of be easy. So hand independence is more about the specific rhythm that you're playing against the other rhythm. And in most cases, your left hand is going to play something very, very specific. It won't change. At least the rhythm pattern won't change. You're going to change the chords, of course. You'll have a 4-chord progression, but the rhythm pattern would remain. Okay, so that's one methodology to eventually get to your target melody. What do we want? We want you to finally play what is in your sheet, or what is in your mind, what you're improvising, or the melody of your song, and you're just not able to get the melody which you only composed with the left hand pattern. So then you oversimplify the left hand, which we don't want. So the next approach would be to basically, before playing what you want the right hand to do or what the right hand is going to do, sing it. So play the same pattern in the left and sing whatever your melody is. So it could be ta na 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 ta da de de ta na. And now you might be thinking, okay, if I sing this and do this ta na 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 na, even that is kind of tough. So you might want to slow this down. So whenever in doubt, whenever you're finding it a challenge, my advice would be always slow it down and take a couple of deep breaths. Or if you feel a bit too agitated when you're doing this, and if it's too much of chaos, just take a break, go out for a walk or have a coffee or whatever it might be. So if you're not able to get this, slow it down. But I'm not playing my right hand. Now the brain is obviously sending a signal to my vocal cords to produce this song, right? na 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 na. Why can't the same brain which is sending it to the vocal cords also send it to this right hand? Dun, dun, bum, bum, bum. So now you can kind of airplay the piano. Da, na, 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 da, na, na, na. This will be tricky actually. Da, na, 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 na. And visualize the notes that you're going to play. Which is probably the ga ma pa ma ga sa ni pa sa ga ma pa ma ga d c a d. And now, okay. And if you're in improv mode, in other words, if you're trying to build things on the fly, this singing and play is probably the best method among the lot that I'm going to teach you. So, da na 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 na, da 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 da, la da 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 da. So what's happening here is I'm playing immediately what after singing. So whatever I'm singing, I'm trying my best to emulate. So that becomes a bit more of an improv perspective. Ta na 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 na. Na 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 na. Or maybe you have a melody which you already know you need to play. Tung tung ta tung tung tung, tung tung ta tung ta tung, tung tung ta tung ta tung. Get it sung fun ta tung ta tung, pum 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 pum. And now you'll realize it gets a bit easier. Keep singing. Pum pum param param. Keep singing. Dun 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 dun. And the left hand is slowly but surely becoming an engine of sorts, which you can trust. It's just an autopilot. You can do something else now. So, with singing, first off, just only sing. Da na 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 na. Then try to play it. Then you can kind of have a jam or a Jugalbandi with your voice and your right hand, So, and play that. As you can see, I messed that up slightly. That's because even I'm challenging myself. What just came out of my voice was something I honestly have never played on the piano. At least that's what I think. So it is creating a new challenge each time, because the singing is a very unfiltered way of getting a thought out or getting something out of your system. It's also a practice tip, because generally we say practice what you don't know. So if you just play your guitar or whichever instrument, just whatever a lick or some exercise or a song that you played yesterday. Well, is that really practice? I wonder. It is probably improving muscle memory, but I don't know if it's really practice, because practice is doing something you have no clue about. You're challenging yourself in that moment, or in this environment at least. So basically, the simple point is sing what the right hand will do eventually. And you could have this combo interplay, sing and then play, that helps you with improv. And then you can do a sing and play in kind of parallel. You can do, or try that out. Da, na, 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 na. You play a lot more musically. Da, na, 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 na. La, da, 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 da. You can even change the rhythm. Okay, So the next point is a rather weird thing to do sometimes, but it may feel weird, but do that left hand pattern, whatever you're playing, and let's say you have some storybook in front of you, or you have a newspaper, or let's say the news channel is running, or a cricket or a sports game is running. Just keep this left hand going. You might have some warm beverage in your right hand, or some food. Basically, your right hand doesn't have to play piano, but you have to kind of watch or get distracted, watch the news, watch sports, and the ultimate goal would be to read something from a book. Maybe start with a Wikipedia article or something about some old president, and read that. Just read that out loud. Or if there's someone in your house, like your mom, dad, or brother, sister, or friend, whatever, you could chat with them and actually have a conversation while you keep this going. So what I'm doing is I'm actually talking to the camera, which is you guys, while trying my best to hold this groove. So that itself is practice for me, come to think of it. Especially if you have to change the chords, So that's another form of developing hand independence, because if I can talk and play the pattern that I'm needing to play, why can't I then play a melody? The melody line would be easier than reading a Wikipedia article, I guess. Right, so that's about this rather unconventional approach, which is play the same pattern but speak something, or chat with someone, or watch TV at the bare minimum, and focus your attention on getting the left hand going. Okay, so now we get down to some specifics. The next specific would be, if you have a target to play, if you have an entire song which is 4 minutes long, break it down into sections first off, and then say, I'm going to target just that one section for today. And even bits and pieces. So if you have a line, if you have a lick which you're trying to build, let's say, so that's quite a long melody, right? Let's say I have that going. So let's say that's not possible at the time. So maybe sing that. Only do that. And what's my target? So I can't get there yet. So bits and pieces would imply. Imagine. Whenever you're ready. Drill that in. Repetition. Keep repeating. Now. Break it. Now. Then. So you should kind of reach a point with the bits and pieces approach that it's getting rather boring to play what you're doing. It should get boring. It has to be a boring task, and that can kind of propel creativity. So you can do things like original melody, versus you kind of want to do that, but then maybe you can't at the time. So then go back to the drawing board, or maybe sing what just naturally came into your head onto a cell phone, record it as a voice note. So, parapam pam param param, parapam pam param, parapam pam param param, parapam pam pam. I possibly can't play that now, so it's on the phone. Maybe tomorrow's practice session you could get it. You know. You know, there we go. Okay, so the next point would be in terms of an improvisation, if you get the rhythm of the melody that you're improvising on, if you get that rhythm, you've already got the hand coordination or the hand independence of the entire passage of music. So let's say you're working on a rhythm pattern, which is, you know, let's say doom ta, doom ta, doom ta, doom, or doom ta ta doom doom, pa ta doom doom, pa ta doom doom, pa ta doom doom. Now for whatever reason you're not getting this, so but you have this entire time to play this same rhythm on, but you want to kind of zero in on just the rhythm. So maybe tap it out on, you know, maybe I'm sitting on a cajon, so maybe I can do. And now put it to the piano. Literally one note, or maybe two notes. One note is rather boring, so you see, it's the same rhythm. It's still. See what's happening there? The challenge of hand coordination was to get that rhythm, actually. And the melody is kind of going to flow based on your fingering skills or your scale knowledge in general or the pattern that you're trying to play. Let's say you're doing third. Or fourths. Or just clusters of three. Okay, so that's about zoning in on a specific rhythm pattern, and again, go slow. The thing is, the three things you need to keep thinking of is play slow, take some rest, take some deep breaths, and also one more thing which is very crucial is to move your body to the pulse at all times. You have to be playing on time. That is very crucial. And that brings me to the next point, which would be, if possible, a lot of your keyboards, arranger keyboards, or even the most basic ones you have, like your Yamaha PSR E373, for instance, will have a lot of drum loops or drum beats, you can call them, with different genres, and you can play any of these drum beats in a swing feel or else in a different time signatures as well as different tempos. So tempo is very important. So if you take a standard rock beat like or something double time, try and play along with the drums. You might find a challenge with the metronome, even though I will say, yeah, do it with the metronome, but rather than metronome, I think play with drums and move your body. So that will be a general word of advice. It somehow forces you to get what you're intending to get without overthinking or without being very in a very possessive state. So this happens with me with an actual drummer. Whenever I get an opportunity to jam with a drummer, what would happen is I tend to always go out of my comfort zone because I'm forced to listen to him or her play. So I have to follow that instrument. So I can't keep thinking of what should I play. It just becomes a survival mode. I have to follow the kick and the snare no matter what. Otherwise I have no place in that room, so to speak. So playing with drums pushes you out of your comfort zone, gets you to think of the bigger picture, which is the entire song that you're planning to play and or aiming to play. So do that. You can also get drum loops from the internet. You can just go to YouTube and just find, rock drum grooves 85 beats per minute. You're definitely going to get something, or blues rock drum grooves or reggae or R&B, whatever it might be. Okay, so that brings me to my final point, which is how generally solo piano arrangement people practice their stuff, which is notation. Okay, now staff notation is not going to change the music, it's just going to make the whole process to become a visual activity, because you'll be reading the treble clef as well as the bass clef. Now there are pros and cons. I would say more cons than pros when it comes to sight reading in order to build hand independence. Sight reading is generally where you don't know what the piece is. You've not, learnt it by ear or, with your own mechanisms. So you're relying on something printed for you. Now, the left hand pattern in notation, especially in the bass clef for pianists, would be a traditional pattern, whatever it might be. And now you're looking at the piece of music. And if you overlook at it, if you look too much, you'll realize that sometimes you'll look at it and it kind of goes part by part, bit by bit, or note by note, to a point that you don't even care of keeping time, So you want to keep time at all times and use notation, probably, I would say, sparingly, just to see where there is a hand coordination issue. Let's say the right hand has to play the E of beat 3. 1 E, 1 and 2 and 3. 1 E, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Of course, that's the and of the 3. So whenever there's a tough bit of coordination, let's say you're trying to get that. That is what you want to visualize in the notation sheet, because that shows you, okay, this one is a bit later. It's a bit delayed compared to the left hand, or it's in the middle of two left hand notes. So and so on. So notation, use it just to figure out the tricky parts and where there's an alignment challenge between the two hands, so to speak. Okay, so these are some approaches to getting your two hands working together, but looking at it more from an engine driver approach. I've done another lesson called the engine driver approach, where I've done it for absolute beginners. So do watch that as well at the end of this one. It'll really help. So it follows the same methodology. The left hand will have a very basic pattern, not the one I played, even more basic. And then the right hand would do just your, permutations of beats. So semi-brief, whole note, two half notes, and so on and so forth. So check that lesson out as well. That'll be helpful. Also follow some of our hand independence exercises. We've done some very interesting pieces which I've composed, which I've then made into exercises. So do check that out. Check out those motifs and let us know what you think. Okay, that's about it. So, hope you found something useful with our discussion on hand independence and also coordination. Of course, keeping one hand consistent and the other hand, of course, moving around creatively. Thanks a ton for watching the video. Again, this is Jason Zach from Nathaniel School of Music. There's a subscribe button somewhere there. Kindly hit it if possible and turn on the bell. You'll get notified whenever we drop a new tutorial or a new performance as well. So stay tuned to our content. You can also consider supporting us on our Patreon page. It's all in the description. Check it out. Thanks a ton. Cheers.